And we are doing She-Hulk's 26 here. Butcher Jackson cover. Very nice cover. She-Hulk's has beaten off Excalibur and is now being very sexy on top of their beaten off bodies. Honestly, this cover, and even most of the art inside, are more than this issue needs or even deserves. This is really a great cover, and in my opinion, maybe the best cover shown She-Hulk's. Like, if I was in charge of Wikipedia, I would say this should be the main picture on her article. Okay, our story. It guest stars Excalibur. I do have a question. Does anyone know why there was so much Excalibur content during this period? Like, it was almost all shite, but there were a dozen or so overpriced specials. There were Marvel Comics Present serials. There was no shortage of fill-ins to run. They guest starred in loads of titles like Thor or Kaiser. It feels weird that of all the Marvel characters and teams, Excalibur were getting more exposure than everyone else besides Ghost Driver. The bad guy in this is a giant pile of rubbish that has come to life. A sentient trash monster. I can see a lot of you face palming and cringing and hating this story already. But on the offset, I wasn't against this. I think this could be fun. I like me daft ideas like a killer bottle of ketchup or a hamburger that takes a bite out of you. I will reassure you that if you facepalmed or cringed or hated this story already, it was the correct response. What is interesting to me is that this is astonishingly not the first time Captain Britain has battled a pile of junk that has come to life. He did it in the Albert Moore run. He battled a big pile of trash. And then he was also in Uncanny Excellent Men Annual 11, which was a big pile of trash. I did think of that joke the minute I got to this page, and I've been waiting to unleash it for hours. She-Hulk's has been called to merry old England to defend Morgan from Excalibur in court. And we never set foot in a courtroom, and we barely discussed this case. Now, I admit I am not an expert. I'm not legal, but is this possible? Can a US attorney just randomly fly to another country to defend someone in court and practice law? There is a lot of this in the issue. Men being flung into She-Hulk's breasts. I consider that to be more feminist than having young women sleep with Norman Osborn. The art is by Ryan Hitchens. Early artwork from him. His first art on an American title, I believe. His She-Hulk's is very on model, or what I consider to be on model for She-Hulk's. This is some of the best looking She-Hulk's since Jason Byrne on Fantastic Force. And that brings us neatly to my main point for this video, which is I didn't think She-Hulk is a worthy solo star at all. She is great on teams. She is great on Fantastic Force. She is great on Avengers. But her solo comics stink. It's not just that she has a lack of any villains that are her own. It's not that the tone often chooses to be unfunny comedy. To me, it is that she isn't a strong enough character to have a title. She doesn't have her own world. Even her origin isn't her own, really. Her origin requires Hulk. The one novel idea you have is that she is a practicing lawyer, and even that has some overlap with Daredevil. And basically everything else about She-Hulk after that isn't good. Her bad guys are usually jokes or repurposed from other titles. Her story arcs are non-existent. She has more story arcs in Fantastic Force than she has ever had in her solo books. I think She-Hulk is a great character, but on a team. Have her on Avengers, she is great there. Have her on Fantastic Force. Or even have her on Defenders. I just don't consider her a worthy solo star. Here is Captain Britain. My belief with Excalibur, with the abundance of Excalibur comics and appearances, I think it is largely in part because of Captain Britain. They thought this is a character that appeals to, potentially, an entire country. But the truth is, he doesn't. He barely even represents over half the country. He is a pampered, rich boy from down south with a supermodel sister. I like the character, but to imagine him as being representative of our country is colossally wrong. This is an American's idea of a British superhero. And it is. Captain Britain was originally devised by Stanley Lee. Christopher Clairvoyant wrote his first comics, but it was Stanley Lee who basically created them, and it tells. Not that Christopher Clairvoyant is even really one of us. He is the least British writer around. I also believe that Excalibur abundance was due to Captain Britain's link to Albert Moore. Albert Moore had become a big deal since writing Captain Britain, and it was the only real Marvel thing he wrote. So I think Marvel wanted to proudly display that they had an Albert Moore character, regardless of if the character had moved away from everything Albert Moore did with him and had actually been made substantially worse by Christopher Clairvoyant. All this to say, I am having a fun time not discussing the plot of this issue, which has, quite possibly, the most ridiculous resolution ever. Appreciate the She-Hulk art. That is what I recommend about this issue. She nearly always looks great. And the other stuff actually looks awful at points too. which only helps to make the She-Hulk stuff look all the better. To praise the writing a bit, we do have some use of teamwork here. The writer is Simon Furman, and I have left it too late to mention him. But before this, he was mostly known for Transformers comics, and he had also done Deathly Head with the same artist as here for Marvel UK. So, to defeat the evil, sentient trash creature, She-Hulk strips Billy Bollocks naked with only little bits of trash covering her private parts. This appeals to the trash monster's primal urges, because everyone wants to fuck the big naked green lady. And so it is defeated by its own erection or summit. And that is the end of the story. And remember to always recycle. I need to point out the title of the letters column, which has aged worse than Jennifer Aniston. Was the pun really worth the derogatory term? No, it wasn't. And if anyone has carefully considered things like that, it is me, the man who says all the wrong names and knows better than that. Here's the thing. In any creative pursuit, it is a good idea to stay away from ideas involving rubbish or trash or garbage, because the pithy reviews write themselves. I didn't recommend this issue. The artwork is the highlight, the rest isn't. 7 thumbs up.